Good morning. What we're doing today is we're trying to finish up our seat and our platform for the rear deck here. And so what we're going to do is work on, we've got to feed our cables down through the top of this deck. So we're working on making a slot in the top of this, just like we did in our prototype. And with that slot, we'll be able to feed the steering cable through there. There was not enough slack to drill through our splash well wall and feed the steering cable through there. I wish we could have, and that would have eliminated the need really to do any drilling in the top of this deck, but we're going to have to go ahead and cut a slot and figure out kind of a way to waterproof that. I'm also at the back corner of this deck. I'm also going to mount the socket for that rear navigation light, so that's going to go there. So I'm going ahead and I'm kind of making up a template on a practice piece here to try and get everything mounted just right and located in the right position before I actually make the cuts and slots inside of our finish piece. So I've got my little practice piece here fitted in, kind of got it in position as to where it's going to sit on the back edge, got it scribed and fit to the side. First thing that I'm going to do is just mark the width that I need for the steering cable, and as well as others. So I'm just going to go ahead and kind of trace along that so I get an idea of at least how much I need for the steering cable, and then I'll add a little bit of thickness to that. Actually, I won't need to do too much thickness because once the steering cable comes up through, there'll be some other room, on top or below that cable for the other cables to come up through, sitting on top. And all of this will be sheathed in a nice cable wrap as well, any exposed wires. Next, we're going to try and figure out where this needs to come out and where it needs to enter from the bottom side. So obviously this steering cable needs to come up a little bit, the thickness of the plywood right there, and somewhere down here. Alright, so I've got my seat bench here all stained up, and I've got it drilled out here. So I've got wiring, cabling, steering cables, throttle linkage, as well as shift linkage, as well as some electrical wires that are coming through there. So what I'm in the process of doing now, you saw that frame earlier, and let me just show you. So to secure this deck to the frame, I'm using stainless steel screws and finish washers. And where I drill a hole and put this in, I'm also putting a good little glob of the 5200 sealant adhesive. So I want to be able to remove this deck from the frame if I ever need to. So that's why I'm just screwing it down. I'm not gluing it to the frame. I am just securing it with some screws. So what I'm in the process of doing over here is just laying out and drilling these holes, and just got these holes drilled, and now I'm just going to go ahead and put a dab of sealant on those and get those fastened down. You can see this is where my bow light wiring comes down through, and it kind of tucks down in there, and I've notched everything out in the frame so that it fits down. So this is coming along. I'm going to go ahead and finish putting the finished screws in this deck, just a few to keep it nice and rigid and secured to the frame. So if you let that 5200 sit a little bit, you can see the little sinkhole where the hole is drilled. It always helps a little bit to know where to drop your finish washer. And we'll just get this started threaded. Get these started just a hair. Then I'm going to push down on that bow. That way I don't make the screw do all the work of trying to suck that plywood down. So next I got the socket for the rear navigation light installed. So you saw the hole that was drilled there before, so I just dropped that down in there, had some 5200 in there, and screwed this down. So next what I'm going to do is I'm going to tilt this. Now that this deck is secured to the frame, I can tilt this up, and I'm going to put a block in there to hold it up, almost like lifting the hood on an engine. and that way I can start working on tidying up some of those wires. As you can see, it needs it. So next I'm going to work on this, getting the rear navigation lights tied into the line that goes to the bow navigation light, so the bow light. And because this wire here is the one that's going to go all the way to the switch, so I'm gonna splice the rear navigation lights into this line. A little tight in here, but we'll try. By the way, when we wire up these 3-wire nav lights, you'll see a blue, a gray, and a black. Black goes to the negative terminal, which will be on a bus block up near the console. The gray wire goes to the switch for navigation lights, and then if you were going to do, a courtesy light for extra lighting at nighttime without turning on nav lights, you'd use the blue wire as well to a separate switch. So I'm going to cap off the blue wire. I'm not going to use that, and we're just going to use our gray and our black wire. So in order to get a really good crimp here, you can see now I've got this wire with the rear nav spliced in now, and I made sure I used this kind of a crimper to really flatten that metal inside there and really crimp those wires. Give them a really good tug test. Everything's nice and solid, so now I know I've got a good connection. I'm just going to go ahead and dress these connections now with some liquid electrical tape, and put a little bit of electrical tape around this as well. Put some of this jacket back on and some tape, and that connection will be good. Alright, so I got my connections made here, and now I'm putting a loom around all of this cluster of wiring, which really tidies everything up. And that extends out through the top here. And I may try and find some kind of a little rubber flap that will kind of mount down on top of this, just to keep any excess water from splashing in this area here. But as you can see, if you're going to do it, let's do it right and get everything nice and neat and tidy. Make sure all your connections are good and get everything nice. So that's the only thing you'll see on the floor. You won't see any mess of wiring. So next, where you see those 2 holes at the bottom of the panel, that's where the ignition and the kill switch go. And I'm putting in an emergency kill switch with the lanyard this time. So what I'm going to do, I don't want to use the lanyard for turning the motor off, so I'm going to put the old kill switch back in. I need to drill a hole, and I'll probably drill that hole maybe just to the left of that black panel or below it. I'm not sure yet. So that's what I'm going to be working on next time, is getting the center console all wired up, clean all that up, get everything, all the black wires to the negative bus bar, everything else wired into the switch panel, and then we'll do kind of a final test here in the drum. And in that video we'll also make a little run to the lake and see how this thing flies. I've also ordered some stainless steel hardware hinges for our hatch cover, or our anchor locker cover, and I need to get I want to get a 7-pound anchor for this, the spider kind, the one that you turn the little circle and the 4 spindles flay out. Those are great little anchors. 7 pounds will be good for this boat. Plus those will hold a lot better than a dumbbell or a mushroom anchor. So I've also got some stainless steel hasps that I'm going to be using when this seat is down, in the down position. Those are just going to keep it from bouncing around, both when we're trailering and when we're on the water. So that will all be next time. So until then, thanks for watching. And if you haven't yet, go ahead and subscribe if you want to see more updates on this. And thanks to all of you who have subscribed. And this has been a fun experience with this boat. And we are just about to the end. So until next time, have a great one.